The season hasn't even ended yet, and the rumor mills are starting to churn about unrestricted free agents at the end of the year for the Florida Panthers. Who will stay, who will go, and with the cap limit that the Panthers have, how are they going to be able to balance to try to keep some of their key players? And there's one guy who has interest in the Panthers, and do the Panthers, have an interest in him, and do they have enough money to possibly bring him in onto the squad? And should they do that? Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. I am your host, Greg Andrews. Hit that subscribe button down below to stay up to date with anything and everything that has to do with your defending Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers, who look like they're probably going to be closing out this Eastern Conference Finals series against the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow night, guys. But that is not what we're going to be talking about in this episode. We are going to be looking ahead to the future after the Stanley Cup Finals are done, and we have unrestricted free agents. And man, there are some big ones that we need to talk about. And can the Panthers hopefully hold on to these guys with the cap space that they have? And who is the rumored person that the Cats could potentially pick up as a replacement if some of these guys end up leaving? So let's just jump right into it, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and please be respectful when you do comment. Again, this is entertainment. I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to hopefully put some good facts up behind my opinion, so that way you guys are taking a look at it and you're going to give me your opinion and tell me what you think. But please just do it respectfully. Okay, be mature about this. Do not be disrespectful to one another, and please don't be disrespectful to me, okay? I do not badmouth your teams. I just give opinion about what I am seeing on the ice, what I'm seeing from certain players. But that is another conversation that we're going to have for a different day, probably tomorrow, because I'm going to be doing another episode tomorrow that will kind of be a pre-game for the fourth game of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Cats and the Hurricanes. But anyways, let's just jump right into this, guys. These are the free agents for the Florida Panthers. As you can see, number one on that list should be Sam Bennett. And then 2A is going to be Aaron Ekblad, and 2B is technically Brad Marchand. Yes, I know, I see. We have several guys on there like Nico Sturm, who's going to be a free agent as well. We also have Nate Schmidt, who's going to be a free agent, and he's been a big pickup for the Panthers in this. We also have Nosek, who's going to be a free agent. So there's a lot of guys on this team the Panthers need to worry about leaving in free agency. There's $9 million in cap space that the Cats have to play with. But the problem is, Sam Bennett is making a lot less than he should be with having a career year that he's having. He's making just under $4.5 million, and there is the potential that he could get upwards of around $10 million a year. So the question is going to be, can the Cats find a way? Can Bill Zito especially find a way to talk to him and say, hey, listen, we want to keep you here. We're winning. This is a winning team. We've got the recipe for everything. The chemistry is there. You know how we do things in South Florida. We also don't have state taxes. Stay here. Take a little bit less. Let's keep everybody together. Let's keep this rolling, especially if they win the Stanley Cup this year. I think it will technically be easier to get him to stay. I know some of you will say, oh, well, he's won 2 Stanley Cups. He had a career year. He deserves more money. Absolutely, I agree 100,000%. Yes, he deserves more money. He should get more money. But does he care more about money, or does he care about winning? The greatest people, the greatest athletes in sport that really want to win will take less money. Dwayne Wade is a good example of that. Yes, I know you can yell at me all you want about the Big Three era, but he took less money so that way he could bring in the other big names in Bosch and LeBron James. Will these guys do it? Will Brad Marchand say, you know what? I am getting $3+ million right now, but I want to kind of stay there instead of getting less, which the Bruins weren't going to be paying him what he was thinking he was going to get. So will the Cats be able to offer him something that will stay in line? And if he does win a championship, again, will that entice him to say, hey, we have a winning recipe here. We've got this team that's tremendous. Let's keep everybody together because everybody's gelling. The chemistry's there. They know how to play. They know the system. Same thing with Aaron Ekblad. He's been here his whole career. Will he take less money? He's making $7.5 million. What is his asking price going to be? And the rest of the guys I'm not really going to get into, but that's the biggest question. For those 3 players, what are they going to be asking for at the end of the season? are they going to be willing to take less money? Because if we look at the dollar amounts here and the $19 million in cap space, if Sam Bennett is going to take around $10 million a year, we're down to $9 million. If Aaron Ekblad is going to try to stay at his dollar amount at that $7.5 million or maybe get a little bit more, then you're almost using up all of that money. And trying to retain Brad Marchand, he's probably going to try to stay around that $3 million, $3.5 million mark. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe he'll take a little bit less. So if you can get a little wiggle room with these guys, discuss it, have them take just a bit less, you could retain all three. But then trying to find players to replace your backup goaltender in Vanacek, who is also a free agent on there, an unrestricted free agent. You're getting Nate Schmidt, who you might lose. And you also have Thomas Nosek, who you might lose. And then Nico Sturm. I mean, are these guys you're willing to get rid of? Yeah, Mackie Samoskevich is also, but he's a restricted free agent because he was a rookie in his rookie contract. So I think they'll be able to sign him and keep him for long term, which would be huge. But a lot of decisions that need to be made by the Cats. So this is all speculation again, but let's see what can happen here. And this is where things get interesting. Mitch Marner does not want to stay anywhere in Canada. He has said he is pretty much off limits in terms of his interest for any of the teams in Canada. I'm not going to get into the teams that he's said he's interested in and the rumors that are out there, but the Florida Panthers are one of those teams. He's looking for teams that can be competitive in terms of getting deeper into the playoffs, and pretty much fight for a championship. And the Panthers could be one of those teams. But look at the price tag on him. He's getting almost $11 million on the cap hit. He's getting close to $11 million a year. He had a 6-year, almost $70 million contract with Toronto that he's finishing up this year. He's only 28 years old. He had a huge season this year, 102 points. My God, 27 goals and 75 assists, career year. He's a great player. He's ultra talented. And we don't have a right winger on our team. We got a lot of centermen. We got a left winger. And we could use a guy like him on this team, obviously. But the thing is, at what cost? The only way that the Panthers can really retain him is if you lose Sam Bennett, you lose Brad Marchand, and that can create some cap room there. But do you really want to spend that kind of money on a guy who you still have to build chemistry with? He's got to learn the system, all of that. I'm sure he'll fit in. I mean, he's got a very high IQ high hockey IQ. You could see it on the ice. He's a phenomenal player. And he's very, very, he wears his emotion on his sleeve. You saw it at the end of the Panthers Maple Leaf series. He was not happy. And I know he wants to win and he wants to be on a championship contender. So this could be a dream come true for the Panthers, but do you want to break up the band? I don't think it's the greatest idea, but if your guys walk and sign somewhere else, this is a real possibility for the Florida Panthers. Are they going to be willing to offer him $11 million? Maybe. He's 28. Sam Bennett's around the same age. I think he's a little bit older. Excuse me if I'm wrong on that. I didn't look it up. I'll be honest with you. But it's something to really look at. It's something that could happen because guess what? Bill Zito is an incredible GM. He ended up pulling the trigger and got Brad Marchand here. Crazy things have happened. So it could be a possibility. Can he take less money? Absolutely. Anybody can. Let's see what happens. I'm excited to see it. It's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy offseason for free agents this year. And we'll see what happens. So anyways, these are his numbers. Like I said, almost $11 million every year since the 2019-2020 season. He's had great numbers every single year. He's played a lot of games, but he did have one pretty serious injury to his knee where he did need surgery, and they had to clean out some loose ends that were in there, some debris and stuff. So that was in 2024 in February. So he did have that. He's had some injuries, but every single player in the NHL has pretty much dealt with injuries. But that's the only surgical thing that he needed from an injury. So that's good news. So he's not ultra injury prone. He hasn't had any major surgeries. So he could keep playing. I don't see any issues with him, and he's young as well. So he's in the prime of his career, really. And they could sign him to a long-term deal. But again, at what cost? And what guys are you going to lose to get him? You've got chemistry on the team. Is it worth it? That's a question that I can't answer. Only GM Bill Zito and head coach Paul Maurice can say, hey, man, this is what we want to do. And I'm sure we will find that out. But right now, the focus is on the Stanley Cup playoffs. Obviously, this is all speculation. These were his numbers in the regular season in his career. Amazing numbers this year. He's had 4 years of 90-plus points. He's a tremendous guy when it comes to passing the puck. He's had 2 years of 30-plus goal years. He has been nothing short of incredible in his last few years. Yeah, you can see there in terms of the games played. He's had some injuries and he's been out, obviously, in the 2020-21 season. That's been his low point. But in the last 3 years, he's been more or less pretty healthy. And then here we are for his playoff numbers. This past year, not bad. Again, he's great at passing the puck. He's got a lot of assists. He does score goals from time to time, but he really is great at dishing out those assists. He's a great defender. Not the biggest guy. He's around 6 foot, I think about 185 pounds, so he's not huge, but he's fast. He's got great puck handling ability. He could play defense, forecheck, back checking. He is a solid player. That's why he's getting paid the big bucks, almost $11 million a year, guys. Almost $11 million. And this, coming from Darren Dreger, sorry, excuse me if I get his name wrong. What we know is that the interest in Marner and in the Florida Panthers forward Sam Bennett as well, and in John Tavares, if he gets there, is going to be vast. It's going to be league-wide regardless of what the dollar amount is. Yeah, we know that. Mitch Marner's an incredible player. Unfortunately, he was very frustrated in Toronto. He wants out. It looks like his tenure there is pretty much done. Like I said, his crew has pretty much made it known that he does not want to be in Canada. He wants to come down here, not Florida, but he wants to come down to the States and join a team here. And the biggest one right now that he's got his eyes on, they have their eyes on him, are the Las Vegas Golden Knights. They are a $1.6 billion franchise, and they, I believe, have the cap room to do it. But it's going to be up to Mitch Marner in terms of where does he want to go. They are a championship contender, and they've won one, obviously 3 years ago against the Panthers. But where is he going to choose to go? Where is it that's going to be more enticing to him? Can Bill Zito pull the trigger? In my opinion, I say try to keep the band together. Don't fix what isn't broken unless guys leave. That's going to be the biggest question here is who will stay, who will go? Will anybody take less money so this whole team can stay together and keep competing at this high level for the next several years and possibly build a dynasty? Will some of these Panthers players do what, let's say, the New England Patriots did with Tom Brady? He did get decent money, but he ended up taking a little bit less as his career got down the path because he wanted to build around, but then he was so good he didn't need to. So kind of it works. In the end of his career, he took less money, especially in Tampa Bay. But I'm not talking football. We're talking hockey. We're talking Panthers. So in my opinion, if guys walk and sign elsewhere, yes, I would say Bill Zito, take a run at him. You've got nothing to lose. You've got a bunch of solid players under contract for long term. Let's keep our eye on the prize and keep this team solid. Let's bring in guys that have a ton of talent, and we can keep this thing rolling forward. So that is the big news of the day, is Mitch Marner is going to be a free agent. He's not going to stay in Toronto and re-sign. But where's he going to go? Can he end up coming to the Panthers? They do have the cap room, but again, let's see what happens with our free agents. And I believe as soon as the season is over, the Panthers are going to try and tackle that and say, you know what, let's start re-signing some of these guys and figure out what we're going to do during free agency. But anyways, join me tomorrow, guys. I'm going to have a new episode up that's going to be a pre-game analysis, kind of talk about what to expect for game number 4. Is it going to be another total domination by the Panthers? Yes, it took a little time the other night to get into it in that third period. That was 5 goals in about under 9 minutes. Pretty incredible. Will they start off and just tear the house down and end that series in a sweep? Or are the Hurricanes going to come out and change their tune and actually start sticking up for one another, playing as a team, and being more physical like they started in game number 1? We'll see. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Again, hit that subscribe button down below, comment, like, and share. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm your host, Greg Andrews, guys, and go Panthers.